Welcome to another episode of the Borough Briggs Beat, the official podcast of Elgin City Football Club. We're back after the chairman launched it a couple of weeks ago. We must have done something right because he's sanctioned another episode. He's opened the purse strings and we're back for episode number 2. So good stuff. My guest tonight in the studio here in Lossiemouth, the Lighthouse Podcast Studio, we've got Chris Foote, who's a director of the club and also has responsibility for the women's football development side of things. And we've got Bert Grant, president of Elgin City Supporters Club, but of course, probably better known as one of the friendly faces behind the pie stall at Borough Briggs. So welcome to you both, guys.
Evening,
Chris.
Good to be here.
Good stuff. And I was just joking there with Bert before we come on. We'll get the elephant in the room out first. You know, Bert's pies. Somebody did say to me, he says, you've only got Bert coming because he'll bring you some pies, but you haven't got any pies with you tonight, Bert. So you can
unfortunately, no.
Tell everybody that there was no skullduggery here. I didn't have an ulterior motive for getting you on the podcast.
No pies tonight, unfortunately.
No pies. And just when we announced earlier that Bert was coming on, I'll give a wee shout out to Wendy Lang. She was on Facebook just waxing lyrical about your pies and asking where are they made. I mean, I'm going to push the boat and say, I guess you don't make them yourself, Bert, yeah?
Unfortunately, no. We've not got a capacity to do that. But we got our pies from Lossie here. We got from McClemon's, the butchers.
Oh, right. Brilliant. We shout out to McClemon's and Lossie. Keeping it local, Ryan. Keeping it local. Brilliant. How long have you been getting your pies from McClemon's?
Must be about 4 or 5 years. About 5 years now, I think.
Excellent. Good stuff. I just say at this point, other pies are available from other butchers. I particularly like Michael Dawson and Elgin, great pies, but McClemon's are good as well. Excellent.
There's never any complaints about them, so...
no, I've never heard anybody grumbling about the pies at Borough Briggs.
The way supporters are always very complimentary on them, so it's a good thing.
Excellent. Great stuff. Right, well, maybe we'll come back to the pies later on, okay? But I was going to kick off here, and I'd give you this in advance. I was going to ask both of you to have a wee think about what's your favourite Elgin City moment, and we'll maybe touch on how long you've supported the club and all that, but have you had a chance to think about what you would class as your favourite Elgin City moment on all the time you've been watching them? I'll start with you, Bert.
Very difficult. I've been at Borough Briggs since 1968, so there's been a few moments over the years. Privileged to see the teams more in moments, the greats of the late 60s, early 70s, and late 80s, early 90s, which was absolutely brilliant teams at that time.
Aye, I mean, I've heard about all those teams of the Highland League era, but also I wasn't alive to see them. Although I was born in '68, so so you must have been Willie Grant, boy I used to work with, legendary striker, and
especially the 1968 team that did so well in the Scottish Cup and that. It's just brilliant to watch every week.
Aye. So were you around when they played Celtic in the Scottish Cup?
I was, aye.
Right.
Oh, what date was that?
Oh, I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but that was one of the big Scottish Cup matches at Borough Briggs.
I think I was not
Willie
at
was
no,
on the scene. Right.
No, I wasn't at that.
So you Elgin born and bred, Bert?
I was born in Elgin. I've lived most of my life in Mistolach. So, as I'm saying, I've always been back and forth to Borough Briggs.
Oh, great stuff. You and me, Chris, well, both Chris, I should say Chris, we're both Chris's. You're Chris Foote, I'm obviously Chris Saunderson. So we're both classed as white settlers because I've only been here 30 years. You've been here even shorter period. 7 years.
Yeah.
Aye. What brought you to Elgin, Chris?
I was born in Inverness.
Right.
Tell by this accent. Moved down south. Then basically wanted to just come home. We were going to retire, but we just did it a few years early. So we came up 7 years ago and loved it. Brilliant.
And in that 7 years, I mean, I think, did you get involved with the club quite early in terms of sponsorships and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Man City fan.
I was going to ask you, but you've openly admitted that. You've come out of the
30
closet.
years, had a season ticket holder, and you can't blame me now. I wouldn't maybe not done a few years back.
So you'll have seen Man City when they didn't have a proverbial to do a
Yeah,
PM.
we weren't great. Yeah, we've had some bad years, and now we've had some good years. But living this far away, travelling down was hard. So me and my wife Janice went to a game 7 years ago. First game of the season against Cowdenbeath. Drew 1-1.
Was that just for novelty value at the time?
Yeah, just because I love football. And I thought, right, we're living in Elgin, let's go and see the team. And then we went straight downstairs and bought 2 season tickets after the game. And from then on, Kieran Carty, who you'll both know well, got his claws into me, and the money's flowed out ever since. So, yeah. So we basically sponsored Jim Weir that first year. He left to go to Forfar. They then gave me Chris McLeish, and then it just built up from there.
Right, and you just kept that going? And
kept it going, and then we started sponsoring the odd game. And then Kieran came to me about 4 or 5 years ago and said, do you want to sponsor every game? And after discussion with my wife, we agreed that we would.
So once Kieran got his claws into you, that was it?
He does not let go. That's a warning for everyone. Obviously now at Celtic. But no, it's been great. It's really been good. It's proper football. And it's a proper club with proper people, like Sir Bert and other people at the club. It's what makes the club.
Yeah. They do talk about football at grassroots level, but I mean, it's a community club, and there's loads of characters around about the club, isn't there?
Oh, I think you could almost say everyone's a character once you get to know people. You got George, everyone at the club. They all put the heart and soul in. These guys are the heroes because they're the volunteers. They do the job week in, week out, and get very little reward for it apart from the fact they're rewarded by doing it, I suppose, don't you, Bert?
I know. I mean, as you know, we hardly ever see a game.
I was going to come on to that. I mean,
sometimes
logistically, in the pie stall, could you turn it a wee bit to be facing out onto the pitch more? Because, I mean, how much of the game do you physically get to see?
Very little.
Right.
Most games never see anything, but the pie shop was turned. It was that the early 2000s that the pie shop used to face the other way, and it now faces the pitch, which was...
It used to face away from the pitch.
Aye.
So that would be even worse. At least
it was worse,
this way you can maybe get a wee snippet of things and you can get a sense of it. Right, okay.
So, most games we don't see anything, but it's just so busy, so...
You'll have to eventually build a new pie stall, but just make it like a glass box so that you've got, great vistas right across the pitch.
When the pie shop was turned, with nothing at the front of the shop, so quite often the footballs would come pinging into the shop and cause great calamity.
Pies didn't go
So
flying.
that's how there's a grill now in front of the window because to stop the footballs coming through.
Right. And was it in the same location as it is now? Or?
Exactly, it was just spun round.
Right, brilliant.
Brilliant.
So how long have the Elgin City Supporters Club done the pie shop?
1963, the Supporters Club was formed.
Seriously, as long as that?
Aye.
Jinx.
So, and this is my 33rd year in the pie shop.
Right.
As you can see, it's taken its toll.
I wasn't going to say anything, Bert, because I'm partial to the odd pie myself.
But you've got to try them to make sure quality control.
Brings you back to that old song, who ate all the pies, who ate all the pies, etc., etc. But 1963. Right, and how long have you been involved with the Supporters Club from that?
91, 92 was my first season with the Supporters Club.
Right, okay.
And as I say, I've been in the pie shop since. So.
And you're still president at the moment? Yeah.
Still president.
How long have you been president?
I'm not sure. It's
been lost in the mists of time.
It must be 10, 15 years. Right? It must be 15 years, I would think. Because it was Cecil Jack before that. Then he got put upstairs. And it
sounds like it's getting put out to grass. It's not even put upstairs. Is there somewhere you put old directors' loft or something? Okay.
He was enticed away to go upstairs. So. And he's doing a great job there.
Great stuff. So you were Elgin born, you've lived in Mustard, been an Elgin fan most, if not all your life. But have you now got a wee bit of a Dundee United in you? Where does You've got some tangerine blood here, have you?
An Arab through and through as well, yes.
So how did that come about then?
It happened at school. I think everyone supported, because I was at Forbers, well, Mastolach and Forbers schools. Everyone supported Aberdeen, Rangers, Celtic. And I just, it never really appealed to me. And,
so you just went totally against the grain?
Against the grain and became an Arab instead. So.
Made you, going way back, they've had some great teams over there.
Aye, exactly. We've had some good moments and bad moments. Like every other team, but it's good to see them back in the Premiership, and I'm sure they'll do well this season.
Yeah, and a little bird tells me you maybe were down at Victoria Park, home of Bucky
Thistle, last night.
Which I know for an Elgin fan, that's something that's maybe hard to admit, but you maybe took the opportunity to go and see your Tangerine boys.
I did. I was down last night, and in fact they're back again next week. The B team's got Bucky as well, in the other cup. But Bucky played well, didn't disgrace themselves. It was a good game last night.
Excellent. Chris, you were down at, I'm going to say Lesser Hamden, but it's the City Stadium now, isn't it?
Yeah, so we were down there last night. It was, it was a tough day at the office.
Yeah, it's been a tough group, but I mean, that was always going to be expected, because I mean, there's two full-time teams in there, a team from a league above, and Peterhead, who are probably, one of the going to be a strong team in Elgin's own league as well. So
yeah, I mean, it has been a tough 4 games, but there's plenty of positives to take from it. There's players that have come in and are getting there, shall we say? Yeah. So I think Allan's, he's built a good squad, and there's no reason why really now we shouldn't be challenging for at least the playoffs. Yeah. He wants it. Players want it. So.
Everybody's openly talking about that.
And the positiveness around the club, in the last 6 months has just grown and grown. Yeah. So that might continue.
We'll come on to 2 of those. You've just jumped onto 2 of my subjects for later on, but we'll come back to those. I was actually wanting to talk to you about the women's side of things at the moment, because that's your direct remit, is you've got responsibility for the development of the women's team. And
I fell into it by accident. Again, Kieran's got a lot to answer for. He said, how do you fancy just being involved with the women's team? We need a director. I'd only been on the board literally a day. And he said, I want you to meet somebody. They're in the boardroom. So I went in the boardroom, and there's a young man called Mo Morrison, who most people here know.
Yeah, most legend.
Quiet, unassuming. Wouldn't say boo to a goose.
Yeah, you sure you've got the right Mo Morrison there, huh?
Touch of sarcasm there, wasn't it? So no, we had a chat for half hour, and we both basically wanted the same things, and he's done a great job. It's hard to build a team from nothing, and they were certainly challenging last year. Injuries took their toll a little bit, but the players, got to give a mention to G, who can't give a mention to G because he also does the kit for the ladies. Yeah. There's a lot of travelling involved. They don't get paid, but they've performed really well. We're hopeful for this season. Played our first friendly on Sunday against Ross County. Drew 3-3. Right, excellent. They're going to be up there this year.
So when does the league season start?
The league season starts on the 18th of August.
Right.
We've got a trip over to Grampian, I believe, to play Aberdeen.
And for anyone that's not totally up to speed with the women's football setup, what level and the scale of things are the Elgin City playing at in Scottish women's football?
At the 5th tier of Scottish football.
Right.
And it's basically 5 groups of 10 teams, and only 3 will get promoted at the end of it. So it's a very hard level to get out of. There are some very good teams. Dice made it to the 4th round of the Scottish Cup and only knocked out by Dundee United. And they didn't disgrace themselves.
Right.
So it's a good level. But it's tough. But we've got goals. I've also got to say a massive thank you to all the sponsors. From the main sponsors, Forestry, obviously Al Murray, he's done it with George Innes, William Watson, funeral directors, S&D Harper have come in with Elgin Storage, Johnston's, which is great to have such a big company like them, and we believe at least another 50 sponsors, which is unbelievable.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we've got to say I would love to say thank you to them all, but we'd be here all night.
No, that would take up.
And the lady you've already mentioned, Wendy Lang, has done a lot of that work herself as well.
Yeah.
So she must get a special mention. But the players have, the parents have, friends have. So it's positive. It's very positive.
I mean, women's football seems to have exploded in the last 4 or 5 years. A lot of that is down to the Lionesses, which a lot of people have watched that and got excited. Scotland women's team, they're getting there, but it's taking them a wee bit longer. But what do you put down the growth in women's football to?
I think just the fact that it's been accepted. Mm-hmm. I will sit here and admit, for many years I was most probably one of those that didn't accept it. And then when you actually open your eyes and have a look at it and get involved in it, you do realise it's actually quite, it's not quite good, it's very good.
Technically very good.
Technically very good. Obviously not as physical, but technically very good. It's growing, the commercial side of it's growing, certainly in Scotland. Mm-hmm. Only today, the SWFL were advertising for 2 more people to help. It's growing that much. They need to expand what they do. So, yeah, women's football is growing, and it'll only grow bigger. I think this year, I'm going to stab at maybe 12 new teams came into the leagues.
Right.
So that's a big growth.
I think it's one of the fastest growing women's sport in the world.
It's the fastest, I believe it's the fastest growing for participation, but also commercially. Mm-hmm. If you take how many people are playing and what money's coming in, it is growing.
And the girls starting to play more of their games at Borough Briggs. I know they've played a lot at the Gleaner.
We're hopeful of playing a few more at Borough Briggs.
Because I know some of the big teams down south, even Man United, they've played at Old Trafford.
Funny enough, I was talking to Kieran last night. Again, he came down to the Queen's Park game, and we were having this conversation that a lot of the bigger teams are now using the bigger stadiums because you can now bring bigger crowds in. Arsenal were playing, I can't remember whether it was at Boreham Wood, and now they're playing at the Emirates and putting 50, 60,000 people in there.
Yeah.
Well, who isn't going to want to do that week in, week out? Also raises the profile. So we're looking to do the same. Obviously, we've got to be careful with the Borough Briggs pitch. That has to be protected. But
all joking aside, you can't afford to overuse it when it's a grass pitch.
No, we've already said we're not going to use it during the winter months. It can't be done. But we're hopeful. Get half a dozen games on there, a few before Christmas, a few after Christmas.
Could open up a whole new market for pies as well.
Well, I have to say that man's been really good because every time we've played at Borough Briggs, you've opened up the pie shop.
We've tried to. We've tried to if we can, if we can get folk to work at it. It's certainly been a great thing for Elgin City, and it's come on so much this last couple of years, and it's good to see players are now wanting to sign for Elgin rather than just.
Well, yeah, we've just signed a young lady from West Dyke, which is 2 divisions above us. Lindsay Brown,
I did see you.
She's a phenomenal player.
And it's good to see the crowds increasing nearly every game. So it can only be a good thing for
because there's a growing number of female football fans generally anyway, and going along as families, mum, dad, kids.
And the thing is, it's almost like Elgin City and Elgin City men, the supporters. You get a few crossover, but they tend to be different. And we're averaging about 150.
That's all right.
Which is good. We're looking to expand what we do on match days as well. Literally mirroring what the men do. So that could be another growth opportunity. But we've always said from day one, we want the women to feel part of the club.
Yeah.
They're Elgin City. It might be Elgin City women, but they are Elgin City. And we've certainly, hopefully, achieved most of that.
And is the longer term plan to get younger age groups as well? But is that
the biggest stumbling block is we would love to have. Well, obviously, we've got Murray girls, and again, we must thank them because the work they do up here is fantastic. They've been going years, and they've got age groups, I think, from 12 upwards. The biggest stumbling block in this area is pitches.
Right.
There just are not enough pitches. We are talking to the SFA, but that's funding. And we'd love to go through the age groups. At the minute, Murray girls finish at 16.
Right.
They come to us. Ideally, you want an 18s.
Yeah. I suppose it's like anything. You've got to walk before you can run.
Absolutely.
Starting up something.
Yeah, we wanted promotion in 3 years. I think that's realistic. If it doesn't happen, we're not going to be too downhearted. But we want to progress. But we want to grow the club. We want more women involved, young girls. But we need somewhere for them to do it. And that's going to be the biggest stumbling block at the minute.
So looking at the infrastructure.
And that's not just Elgin, that's across the north of Scotland, this part of Scotland.
Everybody's got a part to play in that Murray Council.
You go down to Dundee, I think I drove through from Aberdeen, came out the other end by NCR, and I think I counted 7 artificial pitches.
Right.
Just on the road that you could visibly see.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are more and more artificial pitches, and not just Elgin, but across Murray. But there does need to be a bigger rollout of them.
I think if you had another 2 or 3, you most probably still would fill them.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, long term, that'll come.
I would still prefer grass. I'm sorry to say.
Well, I must confess.
So do I.
I mean, I like Astro or plastic. Well, it's no plastic. That's as a training thing.
Aye.
But in my own hometown team, Cooney South, they're one of the ones that have got plastic pitches. I must confess, the more I see of them and the less I'm a fan of them at, senior level.
I think the only thing with the plastic pitches is, especially when you've got the council-owned ones or whatever, is you've got the lights.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, for 6 months of the year, you need to train. You've got lights. I can't think of any pitches that have lights that are grass, that aren't proper football pitches.
Yeah, you're right enough there, Chris.
And obviously with the women's game, the artificial pitches, there was an investigation into how many injuries women get because of the way they turn on it. Right. Whereas on grass, it can be a little bit more forgiving. Mm-hmm. Hence why, all our players, if they were given the chance, they'd play at Borough Briggs every week because of that fact, one of the facts.
Yeah. That's a whole another topic for another debate. But
yeah.
So it's going good with the women. I'm actually hoping to get down in the next couple of weeks, do some filming with them and get some interviews as well. So
yeah, it's going well. Like I say, we've got a few new players coming in. We've actually got a young lady from Norway on trial tomorrow.
Very good.
So we'll see how that goes.
And is that someone who's moved to the area?
It's actually Jorn Lundberg, who came over to watch Elgin City a couple of years ago, and basically does a lot of sponsorship. I think he sponsors sponsors Russell Dingwall. One of his friends is sponsoring, I think, G again. So yeah, Darcy Matheson, the young girl, she's got their names on the back of her shirts. So yeah, so he said, if we come over, can my daughter have a trial? Absolutely.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, we're going international.
Okay, great stuff. Gee whiz. Excellent. Right, well, we'll maybe touch on the women again before we end up tonight, but I'm just going to go back to the first team. Obviously, we touched on the Premier Sports Cup and how it's been a tough shift, but in general terms, and you did touch on it earlier, I mean, Bert, you maybe know this better. I mean, there's been a lot of positivity over Elgin over many years going back through its history, but this season, I mean, it's been well documented that Elgin, and getting on for 25 years, have only flirted with the playoffs twice in that time. And without getting too carried away, there really is a bit of a buzz and a bit of excitement around the team. Would you say that, Bert?
Definitely. I would say it's the most hopeful I think we've been for the last 10 odd years anyway.
And that's no disrespect to the managers that have been in that time, because they've all done a good job and worked hard in their time, but for whatever reason it's just not worked on the pitch. And the proof is still to be in the pudding, but they're just, the way Allan and Stephen came in and saved the club from any threat of relegation last season, and the signings they made, it just seems to be moving forward, doesn't it?
Plus the new regime indoors as well. And with Allan and Stephen, it's the most buzz I've seen about the place for many years, and it's definitely looking promising for this year. You
make the directors sound quite harsh. They're the new regime indoors. they're quite friendly bunch. I wouldn't class them as a regime, but I know what you're saying, but I'm not joking.
Harsh.
But are you getting that feedback from the fans as well?
Definitely. Everyone's speaking about it, and a lot of folk are asking how do you think we'll get on, and what I've seen so far, it's very promising. I'm not a fan of pre-season, quite honestly, because it's not the finished article. You're playing teams that you should be beating, and you're losing, and it's very downheartening. But everyone knows it's to give players time, get them fit, ready for the 3rd of August. But it is so frustrating. But no, it's looking good.
I suppose there's pros and cons to that League Cup being played at the start of the season in a group format because it maybe generates a wee bit of cash. I mean, obviously there was 1,700 at the Hibs game, but by the same token, you know you're going to come up against stronger teams, and you know results maybe don't always go your way. But
no, you're now getting absolutely hammered the first few games, and yes, we knew how it was going to be difficult, but I mean, it was only 5-0. It could have been a lot worse, I suppose. But
it just shows the group. Elgin beat Kelty on penalties, and then Kelty went and beat Hibs. So I mean,
I know.
I didn't see that one coming after Hibs. Pumped in 10 goals in their first 2 games.
And Peter had one last night.
Aye. So
it's difficult, but in
terms of the positivity, Chris, you mentioned it earlier on. I mean, you're one of the directors, and when things are not going well at a club, I mean, I suppose directors and the board are the first ones that get it in the neck. But are you seeing a bit of positivity and good feedback at the moment?
Definitely. Just the buzz around the club, talking to people, supporters at the games. Yeah, we've lost to Hibs, but nobody was too downhearted. It was a good test. For a lot of that first half, we held our own, and then we just had some bad goals in the second half. But again, last 30 minutes held our own. So there's a lot of positivity. I mean, the board are very optimistic. Obviously, Al Murray's come in, very optimistic. The players, you just get a feel from the players that they feel like something could happen this year. Obviously, it's down to them, Allan and Stefan. But yeah, at this moment in time, we can safely sit here that we're looking forward to the first game at home to East Fife.
Yeah, and they've got a bit of space now to build up for that, because I mean, there was supposed to be a friendly Saturday against Nairn, but Allan's knocked that in the head for the risk of injury, so they're going to train Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday leading up to that, give the boys the night off on Thursday from all their exertions in the Cup, because I suppose for a part-time team to have 4 consecutive games, Saturday, Tuesday in that Cup, that was always going to be tough as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is a tough, 4 games in that amount of space when you've just come back really from pre-season. I know we had the 4 games against the Highland League teams, but that's a hard workout. That is a hard workout, but that's what Allan wanted. He wanted it hard, and he's got it. So I'm optimistic. I think we can certainly do something this year. I think we've certainly got the squad to do it. I know you don't win anything on paper, but if you look at that squad, we've got cover in every position, which in my 7 years, we've not always had it in every position.
No, that's right.
I know the fans quite excited as well about the fact the club's dipped into the Highland League as well, which is something it's struggled to do over recent years, because there's been a lot, let's be honest, there's been a lot of money washing about in the Highland League. So, in recent past, a lot of clubs probably got more money than Elgin, so boys were never maybe going to come out of the Highland League. But with Jack Murray and Sarge coming in from Fraserburgh, they've tapped into that market.
It's good to see it as well, because they're local lads, so a lot of local folk will come and see the lads playing, and I think there's never been a good partnership, you'd say, between the players and the supporters, because I've seen a lot of players just come up not really interested in the club or the supporters, just come up for the cash and then go away again. But this time, we local players and that, you get a better rapport with supporters, which has been really good to see.
Although, I mean, the boys from the centre belt as well seem to have, they all been in and around training that, they seem a good bunch, and they all have integrated well, and there's generally seems to be a really good mix between them all this season as well, the players.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a good bunch, good mix of characters as well.
Yeah. Elgin have had some solid boys from the centre belt over years who've gone up and down that road and put in a shift, but you think they've kind of got the balance right at the moment in terms of north-based and a handful from Central Belt?
I think over the years, maybe people have been scared to dip into the Highland League. But, all you've got to do is look at other leagues, and it can work. There's no reason, like you say, with Sarge, Jack Murray, why it can't work. So yeah, I think the mix is good. The mix is good, and obviously training together certainly helps. You know, I think when I first came up, they were half training up here and half training in the Central Belt.
Aye, it didn't work.
Yeah, metal match days sort of type of thing. So
yeah,
I think that certainly will help. And obviously, if Allan and Stefan can work with the players twice a week, brilliant.
Yeah, there's certainly more of that, coming together for training.
Yeah.
And there's still an element of training down the road. But
and I think also that they appreciate the supporters as well. A lot of the players now, like Bert touched on, maybe some in the past have come up and taken the money and gone, but
you'll get that at every club.
You'll get that at every club.
I mean, look at even the top leagues, all the players that are going to Saudi Arabia at the moment, you're not telling me they're going there for the football, they're chasing the money, but fair play to them. I mean, a football career is a short one, and especially at part-time level, so if you can get good deals, then I suppose in a sense you've got to chase the money. But
I love it's a strange one that football supporters use that term, because there's not one of us in this world that was, if we were offered 50% more money to do the same job,
absolutely,
we'd take it.
Definitely.
But football is its own thing, isn't it? It's, you're not loyal, you're going for the money.
Yeah, but so you touched on it earlier, and I know a lot of the players are speaking openly about it, and Allan, Stefan, playoffs has got to be the minimum target. I jokingly did say in the book I wrote about football mental health that, I want them to win the league because there's loads of great headlines that come out that way. Allan's name, it lends itself to that. But all joking aside, the playoffs, that's got to be the minimum target, would you say?
I would say so. I don't think any of the board or the management team would deny that. With the investment this year, it has to be.
I think a good run in the cup and a top four finish, I think that would be really good for this year. And
it's been, again, well documented that I think Allan said that Elgin's probably one of the few clubs that hasn't been promoted in the last 20 odd years, and certainly since Pyramids and that have come in, and even just to experience a promotion. How would that feel for fans, do you think, Bert?
It was certainly
good night out.
Different. I suppose everyone would love it. It's to see how it feels like.
Yeah. Could it be free cards that day if Elgin were going for promotion in a big game?
You never know. Never know. It's certainly be a great experience for a club.
Yeah.
And
I suppose the nature of League Two, though, with just being 10 teams, there can be a fine line between going for promotion and staving off the threat of relegation now. Because I remember speaking to Allan recently, and he did make the point that last season, at one stage, they were only about 7 or 8 points off the playoffs, albeit the focus then was on staying up. But it is a very tight league, and it's probably going to be even tighter this season.
I think you can almost get caught up in not finishing bottom rather than looking the other way.
Because Clyde are going to be strong this season, you would think. Peterhead.
League Two is always it was one of the difficult leagues to go. I think it's easier in the Division 1, the Championship, rather than trying to go to Division 2 because it's so difficult at the bottom.
East Fife have got Dick Campbell in charge as well, and you all saw what he did with Arbroath. Almost took them to the Premier League a few years ago.
He's a character, isn't he?
That'll be great first of the season. Dick Campbell with his bonnet. Well, maybe if it's a warm day, maybe not have his bonnet on, but
we will.
But it'll be great to see characters like Dick at Borough Briggs this season.
Yeah, and he is one of the true characters of Scottish football, isn't he? Possibly one of the last at the minute, But yeah, he's a good lad. But I hope he goes away with nothing.
Excellent. Well, maybe touch on the opening game just in a wee moment, but I was going to ask you, obviously you're the Supporters Club, Bert, and it's the Supporters Club that have set up this Allan's Army Fund, which we talked about in the first episode with Chairman, and Deshaun Golding's going to be players supported by. I was just wanting to get a sense of, in all the time you've been supporting it, have you seen something similar to this, or seen the fans get so hands-on in terms of supporting the club financially?
No, definitely not. And nearest, I suppose, that Elgin comes to is like a city saver. But there's never been a chance for the everyday fan to contribute to the club. It's different for businesses because you're speaking like larger amounts of money, but it's always been something that we've been kind of hoping for. It's just someone every day, whether it's a £5, £100, £1,000, just to contribute to the club. Kind of any day they feel like donating something.
Yeah.
It was a great idea to come up. I got a phone call totally out of the blue on a Saturday night, and it just snowballed from there. They spoke to the chairman about it, then they spoke to the board, and they were all on board about it. And it's been a terrific first couple of months.
And that's going to be ongoing. It's not just, I said that, it's not just for this window, it's ongoing commitment.
It's ongoing, yes. Hopefully, I keep getting donations.
Yeah.
We can't thank folk enough for what they've donated so far in such a small time. And hopefully we contribute to the club as well.
Yeah. And Chris, obviously, without divulging exactly how much it's raised, how significant a boost is that to your transfer coffers? Because, I mean, it is essentially, it's paying for Dijon this season.
Yeah.
People are sponsoring Dijon.
It's made a big difference. I won't lie. But it's not, I don't think it's just not the money aspect. I think for me, it's also now supporters feel part of the club.
Definitely.
And I think one of the biggest things that have been said to me over the years is maybe that gap became too wide. Now I think it's narrowing. I think, doing this, it's got people involved, and again, we can't thank them enough because every penny at this level counts.
It was for a while. It was definitely a them and us, which didn't sit well. And it's fine that something like this has come up, and but all the supporters and all the supporters club wanted to do was to push the club forward, just for the love of the club. We as a board, we're certainly listening more. We have to, Not every idea is going to get taken on board, but there's going to be strange things. I mean, like that weird thing in the programme now, getting to know you. Every club does the players. We do the supporters.
Yeah.
And I think, if I'm right, I'm thinking Brian's got a waiting list for it, which is weird.
That's a great idea, because that's, you say,
but you have to, you said it at the start, Chris, we are a community club, so we have to involve the community. And I think it can only go from strength to strength. And even just sitting here with Bert now, things like this, they're certainly going to help.
Aye.
Definitely.
Does that mean, though, Bert, if the club's going through a wee sticky patch and Dijon's gone a few games without a goal, it'll be sack the fans as opposed to sack the board?
Too right.
I'm joking. You don't have to answer that. I'm joking. But now that you own a player, on just on a logistical front, though, and Allan touched on this, normally the player sponsors will get a shirt at the end of the season. I mean, if you're going to have several hundred sponsors, what on earth are you going to do with Dijon's shirt? Are you going to cut it up and make little individual bits, or is he going to have to give away jewellery, or how's it going to work at the end of the season?
I'd like to see you get the jewellery off Dijon. That's an interesting one.
I think we should just put his shirt in a frame and then hang it up in Borough Briggs somewhere.
Oh, you could raffle it for charity or something.
No, keep it.
Just keep it.
Just keep it, whether in the office or.
And the chairman is, but I think there's
in the bar, even
about
something like that.
Having an event or an evening with fans to get them to meet Dijon and get a photo call opportunity and meet the manager and that as well. Just to, we thank
I know
you.
That's always been a sore point with us over the years. It's never happened, and it's very few times it's happened. And as some of the supporters want as well, is just an evening with the players and just chat and get photos, and it encourages more folk to come.
Especially the younger generation.
Aye, exactly.
Yeah.
They want to meet their heroes.
Aye. There's no doubt it'll happen, probably even happen more than once this season, but without, making commitments on behalf of the manager and that, who's busy enough as it is. But, I think there will be elements of that, getting the fans more involved and interaction with
No, definitely.
The players.
Aye, it's be good.
Yeah. Another opportunity to sell pies as well, but if you have events.
Good.
I'm pushing your pies here.
There'll be pies everywhere.
Brilliant. Just we'll get around to briefly. We'll talk about the hopes for the season. I think we have kind of touched on that, but a lot of that positivity has come from the summer signings.
Yep.
I mean, I made a big joke about the Magnificent Seven. Being an old film, one of my favourite films. But I mean, the way Allan was talking, there might actually maybe even be an 8th before the end of the window, because young Matty Jameson has gone to Forest, so Allan still thinks he needs to strengthen in maybe even 1 or 2 areas. But has that volume of signings, is that what's giving fans the encouragement? Because
I think it's both the volume and who.
Who?
The quality.
Because in the past,
yeah.
we've certainly signed players in the past in that amount, but I think it's more who and where from. Like Bert said, bringing players in from the Highland League.
Yeah.
People can relate to that.
I certainly don't think there's any doubt Elgin's going to be an attacking team this season. I mean, that's
no doubt at all.
Sure.
Looks like it. Definitely.
But yeah, like I say, on paper, the front is looking good. Midfield strong, defence. We've got a man that scored 26 goals in defence now.
I know, and he's off and running already. He's got his first goal.
Might have to have with Tom because he's the only one that hasn't scored.
His second one because he won at Forest. Won at Forest as well. It was, no, it'd be good to see.
But there's there's a right feel good factor about the club at the moment, and everybody.
Yeah, across the board, we can't thank Graham Tatts enough for what he did, but obviously Almo's come in now, put a different spin on it. Obviously, Bert's mentioned Cecil, young Cecil, old sweet tooth. Mm-hmm. Been there for years, but it does a great job. Isla, she's been there 8-9 years now. It might be longer, so I do apologise.
Isla's on the next episode with Deshaun.
That'll be lively.
Yeah. I've still to approach Cecil, but I'll get him on as well.
Oh,
good luck there.
Yeah.
I've already broached it. I will get Cecil on.
Sweets. Table full of sweets. That'll bring him in. But no, I mean, Isla's done a great job. Grant as well. Obviously, Stephen and Kenny have come in. So, the board are certainly putting the effort in and the financial backing. Mm-hmm. Allan, when we interviewed Allan, his presentation was out of this world.
Aye, I haven't seen it in person, but I'm told it's like
you have
off
to see
the charts
it.
in terms of PowerPoint and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can have death by PowerPoint, but this was totally the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
It was brilliant, and obviously Stefan's there as well.
Yeah.
So the positiveness, definitely.
Great stuff. Excellent. So, no game this weekend, but the players are coming together to train, and then the build up to East Fife. How much are you both looking forward to the start of the season now?
Can't wait.
Aye, definitely. As I say, I'm not a pre-season fan, so definitely looking to the first game and get the season going.
Mm-hmm. And will you try and get a few more sneaky peeks out the corner of the pie stall, Bert?
I'll try if I can, but
can you not? You need to
but
get
I usually work at the top end of this.
Do you?
I've got my head in the oven most of the time, so.
Is there a few times over the years?
I'm going to say, it's not that bad.
The way things have been going on the pitch. No, good stuff. I hope you see some of the game against East Fife because you deserve to. I suppose that when you go to away matches, that must feel like a completely different experience. Just so relaxed, nothing to do.
I know.
Just enjoy it.
Aye, exactly. It's I try and go to the away matches when we can. Mm-hmm. It's difficult between so busy with motorsport as well, so never a dull moment.
Yeah, I think you should set up a new scheme, not like Allan's Army, Bert's Army, where you get other volunteers to come in and do a wee stint in the pie shop so you can get half an hour out watching the game.
In all seriousness, you could do with more volunteers.
It's been we've had a good response to our plea a couple of weeks ago, but we're always looking for volunteers. We can't thank enough the folk who do work every game nearly and the rest of the committee as well, because without him, we couldn't open the shops.
No.
Yeah. Aye. So the more the merrier, not.
The more the merrier, and I know Chris is going to be nipping my lug shortly for the ladies' games.
Yep.
I could just feel that coming.
Got the list in my pocket.
Oh, brilliant.
And so it'll be good to get more people on board, so
Yeah.
we can open the shop for the ladies' games as well.
Well, I'll easily do a shift in the pie shop, Bert. I mean, I do burn toast, but I mean, I'll happily stick my head in the oven for you to help you out. So, great stuff. Great stuff. And just off camera there, Bert said, Wendy, because of your praise on Facebook, you will get a complimentary pie first home game of the season. Is that right, Bert?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, is that, you're nodding your head,
she might even, she might even get 2.
Wow.
Okay. Does that mean John gets one? Does he have to pay for his pies?
No, John might get one as well.
Very good, very good. But just the lanes, okay? No free pies around, right? Just them. Excellent, great stuff. Right, chaps, that's his...
Nice one.
Just going to the added time. Trying to keep these podcasts about no more than 45 minutes, so we're just into added time. So I'm just going to say thank you to Chris, my namesake,
Thank you.
and Bert.
Thank you very much, Chris, for
Wasn't
having
that
us.
nerve-wracking, Bert, was it?
It was better than I thought it was going to be.
See?
I'm such a quiet person, so
Wow.
this was a big step for me. So
You're telling porcupines now. So I'll just say thanks to the guys, and thanks for tuning in again. Tune in again 2 weeks. We're going to have Isla and Deshaun on the next one, so that'll be interesting. And thanks for listening.